ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless this gathering, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us those who benefit from this short amount of time. Inshallah, I'm going to keep it short because of timing and short term in the program. We move on and begin with the recitation of the Quran. Tonight we have our brother, HDVIP, who's going to begin with the recitation of the Quran. فليتفضل مشكورا مأجورا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا.
MashaAllah, we ask Allah Ta'ala to bless our recitation and to protect our brother and to increase his knowledge, and also protect and shower mercy and blessings to his parents. Inshallah Ta'ala. Allahumma ameen. Inshallah, we're going to move forward. Our topic for the night is the benefits of Ramadan and how to benefit from the blessed month of Ramadan, which is upcoming. With us tonight we have our brother, our Sheikh Mufti Munir, who's going to be able to drop and share some wisdom regarding that part of the lecture, inshallah ta'ala. فليتفضل مشكورا مأجورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Thank you very much, Akhi, for your recitation. I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow you to be from the people and that you remain consistent, persistent, you stick with your teachers, and that you have high goals and ambitions. Never cheat yourself, settling for less. And of course, that's advice for myself, and that's advice for each and every single one of us. As far as كيفية الاستفادة من رمضان المبارك, how do we benefit? How do we reap? How do we maximize as much as we possibly can from this holy, sacred, blessed month? Then there are many things that can be said, many ways of looking at it, discussing it, and talking about it. Spiritual realm, social realm, the moral realm, the political realm. All of these things pertain to this month and are all from the lessons, the aims, and the objectives of this month. So, with regards to the political realm, why are we talking about politics? What do you mean? Well, we just look at the world today. What's going on and what's happening. One of the higher aims of the month of Ramadan is sympathizing and empathizing with your brother in Islam. One of the reasons why there is political chaos, upheaval, mayhem, and havoc is because many of us have forgotten about sympathy and empathy. And it's us versus them dynamic. That's their country, that's their problem, that's their tribe, that's their city. It's not an us problem. That's their problem. So even it's a personal statement and attitude, but it translates into the politics as well, the geopolitical scheme of things. Versus other countries who know that what they're going through and what they want to do, good, bad, or ugly, is their own personal endeavor, expedition, problem, but they've translated it and they've transformed it into a universal problem when we talk about politics. So no one is blind and no one is oblivious to what's happening in the Gaza Strip. No one is blind and no one is oblivious to what is going on in the West Bank. No one is blind, oblivious to Syria, to Lebanon, and other parts of the Levant. No one is blind or oblivious, let alone outside of that area, the Levant and the Middle East, and the lands of the Muslims and non-Muslims. No one is blind to it. But just look, subhanAllah, just look at it. Right now, what the Muslims are going through there is a them-their problem. Or I just make dua and, that's it. Verse, any criticism of us, our state, our form of politics and government is a direct attack on one of the world's 3 most popular religions. And the whole entire culture of people, give or take, what is and what isn't a Jew. They've turned into a universal problem. Think about that now. We, us, is a them problem. Them, the whole world owes us. The whole has to keep quiet, keep silent, turn a blind eye. The whole world has to donate and justify and support. The whole world has to tell us and explain their position on October the 7th. You must show empathy and sympathy to our plight. And the Muslims are saying, I'm not showing sympathy and empathy because it's their problem. Think about that, subhanAllah. And what does Ramadan teach us? It teaches you to taste hunger for a month, to taste thirst for a month, to taste loneliness for just 1 month, for you to sympathize with the countless Muslims around the world who are always hungry, thirsty, and cannot fulfill their sexual desires in a lawful manner. So one can say, from the highest aim of God is sympathy and empathy. And that translates into politics. An ally. The moment you do anything to this country, we're there. Rather, before you think of anything reckless, we will send our warships and our carriers, and we'll park very close to your front door. We're not shooting at you, we're not bombing you yet, but we're just going to park them there as a reminder. If you start thinking reckless and crazy, know for sure a war with them is a war with us, automatically. What would the Muslim Ummah like if we had that mindset? What would the Muslim Ummah be like? Just talking about politics, what would it be like? Not because we're the same race or the same this, but because we're believers. I have no choice but to help you out. What I have? As far as you ask me for 200, I only have 100, I'm sorry, this is the best I have. But the 100 is yours. All I have is 1 sandwich. Bismillah, it's yours. How better and stronger would the Ummah be? So this is a lesson from Ramadan. This is a higher aim from Ramadan that spills and translates into other things. Everybody get what I'm trying to make? So how do we benefit from Ramadan on the spiritual level? How do I benefit from Ramadan on the physical level? Health, eating less, drinking less, being more mindful of my habits, sleeping too much, sleeping too little. Balance, slow steps, leap. Slow, leap. Slow, fast. Mindset of life. If you have 5 days out the week, 7 days and 5 days, I pace myself in learning or working out or sparring. 1 day out of the week, I go really hard. And 1 day out of the week, I go harder than the other 5, but not as much as that 1 day. Ramadan teaches you that because you're not going to be able to keep up that pace all throughout the entire year, fasting every day. And this is why the Prophet forbade Siyam al-Dahr. Fasting all year long is prohibited because you need that break. But every now and then you have to what? You take that leap. So therefore, how do we benefit from Ramadan? On different aspects and levels. Spiritually, physically, mentally, discipline, self-discipline, self-control. That's the nation. With regards to an addiction, with regards to bad habits, with regards to forming good habits, is strength of mind, strength of will, lost control. You can't stop drinking or smoking if you wanted to. You no longer have control. And the only reason why you became addicted, didn't have self-control. So Ramadan teaches us, and it gives us so many things from so many different angles and aspects. And this is why Islam is a deen. It's not just a faith, but it's a way of life and a way of death. So, spiritually, how do I benefit from the month? Physically, socially, economically, politically. All of these things are boxes for us to check. What do we get from this month of Ramadan? And this is the similitude of the guest that we mentioned, the guest that comes. This guest is so beautiful, so wonderful, that I forgot all my problems when he came over my house. When we sat down, we had coffee, he literally took my mind off of all of my worries and problems. And it was nothing I didn't ask him or what, except that he had something to give me. That's the one. Ramadan gives you in every aspect of your life, if you're willing to take and to receive. So, let us focus on one of the ways of benefiting from it in theory and in practice. Alright, so I did a volunteer again, like we needed a volunteer earlier, and so only the younger sisters were the volunteers. May Allah bless them. No sister went to volunteer. That says a lot. Alhamdulillah. So who's my volunteer brothers? Alright, bismillah. So, you ever been in jail? You sure? You never been locked up? Detained anything? Okay, alright, perfect. Have you ever been in a precinct? Police precinct? Alright, you ever talked to a cop, seen a cop? Alright, for sure. You know something? What type of jail did they do? You don't know. Alright, how long were they in jail? Alright, good. All honest answers. Just like another volunteer. Alright, what can you tell me about prison? Horrible. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Are all prisons the same? No. What makes a prison different? Community, style, what else? Type of crime, what else? Level of security, how tight or how loose things are. What else? Huh? Punishment, what else? What do we know about jail and prisons? It's federal. Oh, so therefore there are types of what? Types of jails with regards to the security, the crime, and the level. So at the top of the list is the federal. Alright, good. What's under the federal? State, then county, and then let's say local precinct. You aren't sentenced yet, but you got arrested. You're here for the weekend, you're here for a couple of hours, whatever the case may be. Whether they let you out, whether you have bail, etc. Beautiful. So we have county, we have state, and we have federal. And then of course you have a local precinct, local police station, etc. What are the differences between the three or the four? The type of crime. So in theory, if you go to the federal prison, what type of crime is it? Severe or it's something that's what? It's serious. It's serious. Regardless of the nature, whether it was violent, whether it pertained to sexual, serious. Okay. And what about the state prison or prisons? As well, serious but not as. And what about the county? You did something bad, but it was. Alright, perfect. If they lock you up and let you go, it was. Why get that? Alright, perfect. So what do we know about the federal prisons? What's the average amount of time someone's going to spend?
Decades.
The average amount of time. Average. 5 years, nothing less than 5 years. Anybody else? He says 6 to 10. Anybody else? Life. What's that? What's the lowest? Basic amount of time someone will do in effect. 3 to 5? 5. 5 is the least up. 36 months. Okay, that's 3 years. As a what? All right. Regardless of how little or how small or how few, the prison is totally different than that of the county. The more the crime, the worse the offense, the more violence involved, the more people you hurt or whatever, the severe it is. We can agree on this? All right. Where are the federal prisons located in most cases? Middle of nowhere. Or what?
Middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. They're not local?
Like ocean area.
Allahu Akbar. Alcatraz. Tell you? Okay. Do you know how hard it was to escape from Alcatraz? You ever been to Alcatraz? I've seen it before. It's literally an island in the middle of nowhere. If and when you escape the prison, the chances of you surviving the water, the sharks, getting on land, slim to none. So we're saying that a federal prison in most cases, not all the time, because it may be a federal prison that's unorthodox, in the middle of town, it's federal holding. But for argument's sake, a federal prison is in the middle of nowhere. Why do they put you in the middle of nowhere? So you can't get out, okay? What else?
Harder for people to visit.
Harder for to visit. What's so important about people visiting you? What's the big deal?
Give you that feeling of
Support. I can see money.
No. Psychological support.
Psychological support. You just being with your family, seeing them, holding onto hand. Your daughter giving you a hug. That speaks volumes to someone who's doing time. Just me hugging my daughter. Seeing my son. Right? Versus it's so far that if your family wanted to see you, it's difficult. How many buses or trains, spend the night in a hotel, driving back, the security checks, the humiliation. It's meant to be deterrent for you to stay out of this place. We don't want your family to see you. We want your family to do what? Forget about you. But how can they forget you if you're still alive?
make it hard for them.
How does a person forget you even though you're still in existence, you're still living? You can write them, maybe a call, etc. What is the connection between forgetting? Okay, but how you're there? What's the connection? I'm talking about psychology now.
Outside out of mind.
There we go. Most of us, not all, most out of sight, out of mind. Most of us. If I don't see you physically, phone call, text message, visit, once a year it's a reunion. You came to this masjid, no, Mufti, it's good to see you, Jazakallah khair. I won't see you for 12 months. And I won't hear from you, text message, nothing for what? 12 months. Most of us are like this, out of sight, out of mind. But a true friend, a true loved one, your true homie is someone that's going to keep you on their heart even if you're physically out of sight. You agree on this or not? Everybody agree? A true loved one, I'm going to 2 buses or trains to come see you. I'm going to take off work. I'm going to be in the middle of the mountains, cold, nowhere. And you better go from Ramadan. ويدعونه 6 أشهر أن يتقبل. He said that they, meaning the Kibar Salaf, the righteous ulama, Muslims of the earliest generations, كَانُوا يَدْعُونَ اللَّهَ. They would invoke Allah for 6 months. 6 months out the year. Asking Allah for one thing and one thing only. Allow us to see Ramadan. And then with the remaining 6 months, they would ask Allah to accept it from them. So how many months are there in the year, in the calendar?
12.
You sure? Only 12 months? So if you took a knife, and you cut the year right down the middle, how many pieces do you have? Quarter, 6, 8, 2 halves, right? Is my sandwich half for you, half for? We have an apple and orange. Here you go. We equal right down the middle. 6 months, they were thinking about what? Ramadan. And then for the remaining 6 months, they were what? They were what? They were Ramadan. So Ramadan was so special to them. It was so meaningful to them. Once it came to their minds and their hearts, it never what? Never left. And that's true love. And if you have that true love, there is no such thing as out of sight, out of mind. That's another example. Let's not talk about prison, state prisons, and federal prisons. I'm impressed with you, mashallah. The way of the disciple is to have knowledge of all things. All things. So we're no longer talking about prison, nor are we talking about the difficulties of love, the trials of love, the craziness of love. This is important advice for young Muslims that just get married. Because after the lovey-dovey stuff wears off, and the fights and the arguments, and then you ask yourself, why did I even get married? All we do is fight and argue. Everything is stress and trauma. You were the most beautiful person, now you're the ugliest person in my eyes. It's why we have talaq in the community. But people don't understand the fiqh of marriage and of love. There's a fiqh to it. And this is no accident why 9 out of 10 songs are about. 9 out of 10 movies and dramas are about. Why do you think? Because it's such a big thing and such a major important part that most people don't truly understand. So, with that being said, let's talk about sports. Right now, what are the sports that are being played? Soccer, football, lacrosse, basketball. What is it? Hockey, the Blue Jackets, huh? Tell you who's better, the Blue Jackets or the Flyers? You sure? Inshallah. All right, tell you. True sports fans, what do they watch and do in the off season? Whether the team lost or won, had a good season or a bad season.
A bad season.
What do they do?
Watch another.
They go buy merchandise.
Go buy merchandise. What else do they do? Highlights. Keep watching the highlights. What else? Off season, trades, creators. But what about the fan though? I can't watch it live anymore. What do I do? Keep watching older games on YouTube, whatever the case may be. I don't travel anywhere except in my trunk is a basketball or a football or boxing gloves. Is this not the case? Even if it isn't the right season, if you truly love that thing, that sport is always what? On your mind. I can't believe how we choked. I can't believe the hardball of the refs, how they robbed us. I can't believe that we won. I can't believe that we came this close. I can't believe we let him go. So before season, what are you doing? Thinking about it. As the season is going on, doing. You're loving it. Yeah. And after the season is over, your heart is still attached, broken or in one piece. And that's the new fan. And he's going to know and learn more about the game, much more than the person who only buys the merchandise or puts on the makeup just for the game day. The moment that it's over, if they have a bad season, they have done what? They've forgotten. So this is one of the key points of how to maximize your benefit from Ramadan is keeping Ramadan and fasting on your mind all of the time. Before the month comes, dua for Allah to allow you to see it. Making dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you worthy of that month. While you're fasting, you're focusing and concentrating on performing the month in the best manner possible. The fiqh of the siyam. Every year I'm going to learn something. Every year before Ramadan I'm going to review what I previously learned about Ramadan. Every year I'm going to make for myself, ta'ala, a set of simple goals, achievable goals within my reach to maximize this month. And they're going to be realistic and feasible goals. That way you build momentum and rhythm. And then after the month is over, I have to sit down, I have to evaluate myself. Did I fulfill my mission? Did I achieve my goals? Did I take care of my resolutions, New Year's resolutions? Do you know how many people actually keep their New Year's resolutions? It's a very slim percentage. And that's because most of us only live in the moment. We don't plan ahead, nor do we reflect on the past. So that's the advice you get in the nighttime. Just try it out. Try it out. Try to make one dua every day about Ramadan. Before, during, and after. And in most cases, wallahu ta'ala, you're going to have a juicier taste from Ramadan. And that's because if I see you on the phone every day, I know your movements. When I see you, I don't have to spend 10, 20, 30 minutes on what? Recalibrate everything. What's up? What you doing? You got married? You got kids? What are you studying? I just talk to you. So when I see you, I can hit the ground what? Running. Just think about that. And think about how the shaitan wants you to just live in the moment. About the last day. About the jinn. About the grave. About the shayateen. He wants you to just focus on spooky things. Instead of the real life, everyday practicalities. What have you prepared for the day of judgment? When is the day of judgment? Isn't important. What's important is that you are prepared. So, ta'ala, we have the spiritual realm, the moral realm, the physical realm, the mental realm. We have all of these different dimensions, sides, or aspects. Just take this one and apply it to every other single realm. What's happening to the Muslims down in Palestine? As soon as it comes out of the news, most of us are going to think about Palestine. And this is why they're going to continue to do what they're doing. But they're planning before it breaks off, scheming while it's going on, and what can we do even after the ceasefire? How many more people can we kill? How many more buildings can we destroy? How many more politicians and governments can we make our whores and prostitutes? Can we buy them? Buy their science, buy their complicity? And how more comfortable can we make your lives, which will cause you to forget what's going on in the world today? So this is food for in the night, ta'ala. Of course, saving money is important for Ramadan. Try to make it your goal to give sadaqah each and every single day. Every day you give sadaqah. And it's important to give sadaqah on a daily basis because the Prophet ﷺ tells us that the angels are taxed on a daily basis. مَا مِنْ يَوْمٍ يُسْبِحُ فِيهِ الْعَبْدُ إِلَّا وَمَلَكَانِ يَنْزِلَانِ فَيَقُولُ أَحَدُهُمَا اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا ويقول الآخر اللهم أعط ممسكا تلفا. Every single day, the Prophet tells us, every morning, every time the slaves wake up, their souls are returned, two angels descend. And these two angels are tasked with making dua for you or against you on a daily basis. One of the angels says, "Oh Allah, the one who spends in your cause, give him more. Bless his wealth. Oh Allah, the one who's tight-fisted, who doesn't spend in your cause, destroy his wealth. Strip the barakah from his wealth." So the angels making dua for you on a daily basis, or making dua against you. So make it your daily goal to give some type of sadaqah, and you should double that amount in Ramadan. I don't have a lot of money. I'm not a wealthy man. I work hard for everything I have. But I can give $1 every day. $1 won't hurt me. And then inshallah on Jumu'ah, I get $5. And then Ramadan, my 5 daily, my 5 weekly, that's every day. And the Jumu'ah Ramadan, we only give 10. Make for yourself a goal by saving up money and sacrificing, just like sports fans sacrifice. Your co-worker, he didn't get his coffee from Starbucks. He says, "I'm saving up to go to the game. I'm saving up to do this and to go here. I'm saving up for the tickets." And And he saves up for those tickets ahead of time. That way, game day in the playoffs, he can buy the expensive tickets, he can go out with his friends, and he can enjoy the game because he loves that sport, he loves that team. So there's a financial preparation for Ramadan. Saving money, being more frugal with money, saving food, storing food, which keeps you from going to the market, going to the store. That's a crucial, vital time that you could have been in the masjid. And shop your pantry. Very important to shop your pantry. All those canned goods that you have, give them in charity. Ayyul Islami, the Prophet was asked, what's the best Islam? The Prophet says, Tut'im Quran, wa taqra salam, ala man arafta, wa man lam ta'rif. Read, and give salams to whoever you come across. Those who know, and those who you don't know. As long as they're Muslims, you give them the salams. So these are simple, basic ways of reaping the most from the month that the sad reality most of us are either ignorant and oblivious to, we're forgetful. So, spiritual preparation, cleaning your soul. We mentioned this. Cleaning your house before your guests arise. Getting your schedule together. Now, when Ramadan comes, you're not running around at the very last minute. Save your money. Put it in outcomes, you don't have to work as much. And there's more time for itikaf, for tarawih. There's more time to sleep early, to get up for suhoor, etc. And of course, there's the social preparation and the social benefiting. Let's try every day to learn but together as a family. I don't want to hear I'm tired, I got work, I don't feel like it. No. Every day we need to sit down and have one meal together. One meal. Think about that. How better would your family be if everybody had one meal together? Mother, father, children, aunts, uncles, together. Normally, I leave at 5 a.m., you're still asleep. I come home at 10 p.m. and you are asleep. Try your best within that time to make feasible goals. Before the month, once the month comes, inshallah, you'll be able to take his benefit. And you'll be a better Muslim, inshallah, and it'll be funner. It won't be as hard and it won't be as difficult. With regards to your soul, your finances, apologize to your family member that you got into a fight, an argument with, silent treatment, you boycotted this family member, this person doesn't want to speak to you. Try your best to fix those problems. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. Allah said to us, after they were few in number, after they were weak in strength and arms, they were outnumbered by the mushrikun, Allah gave them victory, and for the first time, they had a little taste of the dunya after the battle, after the victory. Yes, I don't look at that fact. They ask you, Muhammad, concerning the spoils. Tell them, Allah and His Messenger will do with these spoils as they please. They will be spent, given, divided according to what Allah wants. So therefore you should worry about and focus on فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. You fear Allah and fix your severed, cut relationships. Mend your relationships. I'm sorry, I said something about you. Please forgive me. I know I haven't done this. We've gone right. Listen, let's squash the beef. Give me a hug. I love you for Allah's sake. Khalas. Let go. And if you don't let go, and you hold those grudges, get some reward in Ramadan, this and that, but you're not going to get the full benefit. And that's because from the highest aims of Ramadan is forgiveness. From the higher aims of Ramadan is getting Allah's forgiveness. And Allah clearly tells us to forgive each other just as we love for Allah to forgive us. And that goes back to the first point, which was sympathy and empathy. That's the name of the game. You can't be a believer until you do for your brother, you love for that what you love for yourself. It doesn't feel good, it isn't pleasant, it isn't nice. Why do you do it to somebody else? The world, without a question, will be a better and safer place if we truly have sympathy and empathy for everyone. The world will be a better place for everybody to live. People do things to other nations and races, and when it's to them, they cry, and they boo-hoo. We are victims of this atrocity and Holocaust, and now we want to turn around and do that same thing. Something's off. Tonight, that's what I want to share with you guys tonight. The theory of it and the practical tips. Maximizing your benefit from this month, thinking about this month. Don't allow the month to come and allow the out of mind, out of sight. Imitate, follow, copy the way of the Salih. كان من دعائهم يحيى بن أبي كثير, he said, they used to make dua. Allahumma sallimni ila Ramadan wa sallim li Ramadan wa tasallamhu minni mutaqabbalan, aw kama qala rahimahullah. They would say, oh Allah, allow me be in a good shape for Ramadan. Make me go close to Ramadan, bring Ramadan close to me. And accept it from me. Accept it from me. So big time, try it out. You have to be the judge. Is it effective or not? All I can do is give you a little bit of advice. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وجزاكم الله خيرا.
Barakallahu feek wa ahsanallahu ilayk. We ask Allah Ta'ala to make us those who understand and comprehend the message and also act upon it. Inshallah, we're going to open the floor for Q&A. So if anybody has questions regarding Ramadan or any questions, now is the time, inshallah. Yes.
You talked about not having Ramadan as out of sight, out of mind. How do you recommend like some practical tips?
Like we just said, when you have out of sight mentality, you're at a loss. There's not so much you can truly get. And you're not keeping it real. Nor can you be a real fan or a real love, real brother of someone or something until that thing is on your mind for a large part of your day. For a large part of your day. So therefore, if you only think about Ramadan or talk about it, then you're part-time. And that's fine, but your income, your check will also be part-time. Full-time is full-time. Overtime is what? Overtime. And how much leniency does your boss give you? Leeway if you're always there early and leave late? What happens if you're sick or you have to travel or you need this? What do you think your boss is going to say to you? In most cases, he's going to say what? Go ahead, take the whole week. Versus you only come when you have to and you leave right on the minute. You can't take off, sorry. So you gotta make yourself conscious of that now. And try it out. Try it out. Make a dua every day. Read a hadith about Ramadan. Learn something new, just try basis. Let alone the recommended days of fasting. Monday, Thursdays, 3 days out of the month. And all of the days in the authentic sunnah in which a Muslim is supposed to fast when he doesn't have to fast. Wallahu a'lam. Fadal. وإياكم.
I was reading Sahih Muslim, and I was reading the book of Jihad. I know it has nothing to do with Ramadan, but in the book it has like a checklist which tells us what's necessary for the Muslim Ummah to join in Jihad with Palestine. And like nearly the whole checklist is filled out, is like checked out for a young man or a man in of himself to join Jihad. So what is the obligation for us Muslim men at a time like this when Palestine is going through
Clear. Jazakallah khairan. Questions regarding regards to jihad fi sabilillah, whether it's in Philistine or outside of Philistine. If I meet all of the requirements, what do I do? Do I go? Do I? So on and so forth. My advice to you is, أصدق الله يصدق. أصدق الله يصدق. Be truthful with Allah, Allah will be truthful with you. So if you've read and studied that all of the boxes are checked, the Muslims are in this state, they don't have the ability, I don't have these debts, etc., etc., you have to go with what you believe to be the truth. I have no excuse not to go. I have no excuse not to join. then that's a decision that you and you only can make. I have to go. I have no choice. No one, no, you don't have to go. You shouldn't go. Oh, you're sheikh. So you have to have the sincere intention in your heart. I believe that it's wajib. Bismillah. It's that simple. No one can shake you from your belief as long as you're truthful and honest. So you have to do what you believe is the correct thing to do in your heart. And if you read Sahih Bukhari or any other book or that you got the fatwa and it's clear, Bismillah, so be it. So be it. It's just that simple. Be honest with Allah, Allah will help you. You want to go, you need to go, you have to go. As long as you have the sincere intention, Allah will make a way for you to go. And that's between you and your Lord, subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can tell you otherwise. If you are sincere, and of course we always make dua, our brothers in Palestine, and always try to raise consciousness of the ummah with regards to changing the situation. And if we are unworthy of seeing it, and we can't visibly change it, at least to make the situation better. Or perhaps kicking up enough dust and raising enough voices for someone to come behind us and pick up where we left off and do what needs to be done. Wallahu a'lam.
Every Ramadan for like 40 days, there's a hadith that people share with people like who drink and smoke. It's a hadith sahih, and how should we feel about it?
What's it again?
There's a hadith like for people who drink and smoke. Like
So drink and smoke.
4 days before hadith.
4 days?
40 days before Ramadan.
40 days before Ramadan.
Their salah is not accepted.
Then the salah is not accepted. As far as drinking alcohol, drinking wine, then of course that existed in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People drunk. Rather, people would drink in abundance. And a big part of the culture of the pre-Islamic Arabs was wine, was drinking. A big part of their culture. Like many other cultures, if not most other cultures. It's a social thing. So therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down legislation about khamr. So that's clear. And the Prophet ﷺ tells us that those who drink, those who get drunk, what are their punishments? Spiritual punishments, prayer not being accepted, them being flogged in the Islamic legal system, the penal system. فَإِنْ شَرِبَ فِي الرَّابِعَةِ فَاقْتُلُوهُ. He who drinks once, what do you do? Who drinks twice? He who's caught getting drunk a third time, the fourth time, what do you do? That's all well known. And that is with regards to fasting and besides fasting. That's prohibited in and by itself. Drinking Ramadan is going to be worse, of course. Drinking herbs for Ramadan is going to be worse, of course. But that's prohibited all throughout the 12 months. As far as smoking, whether it be cigarettes or tobacco or cigars, whether backwood, whatever whatever you into, vaping and smoking weed and smoking other stuff, then obviously it's been around for generations. But the concept of modern smoking is relatively new. So I don't think that there's a hadith of the Prophet that talks about smoking. Those who smoke, those who get intoxicated, yes. Those who drink wine, as I said, for sure. No doubt about that. With or without intoxication, Allah Alam. What's important is, if someone has an addiction or problem with smoking and drinking, he should get help. On every level of the meaning of the word, help. Spiritual aspect, therapy, counseling, programs, etc. And make tawbah. And be honest, as I said to the brother, be honest with Allah. Do you really want to stop? Even if it's difficult, but I'm ready to give up. I'm tired of this. Versus, I know it's haram, it has some bad effects, but I still, kind of enjoy it. Still like it. It still makes me feel good. You're not here. Until you are honest and truthful, I have to stop. I cannot continue doing this act, which is detrimental to my faith, to my body, to my money, to my family, etc. So therefore, one who drinks, that's one thing. One who smokes and gets intoxicated, that's another thing. But beware of losing hope and quitting up on Allah's mercy. And perhaps in Ramadan, the dua of the week, that charity that you give, that poor family that you help out. Perhaps that'll be your finest hour. Perhaps that'll be Allah will answer your dua and Allah will give you the strength to walk away from those vices. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wassalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
That's my question. This is based on personal experience. People with high iman sometimes tend to be out of touch or don't know the reality of somebody who's struggling with their faith. So how can somebody with strong iman better understand and support those struggling with their faith?
How does or why is it the phenomenon that many practicing Muslims or Muslims of high faith are out of touch with Muslims who are struggling with low faith or weak faith? Why and how do we fix this problem? Well, I would say many people who practice Islam outwardly, for sure, are oftentimes a little out of touch with reality. Or let's be honest, some of them are snobbish, smug. I look down on you. I'm better than you. Don't come and approach me, don't speak to me. Go away because you're not dressed in a certain way. Or your hairstyle is in a certain way. Or whatever the case may be. Instead of, come on, Akhi, come to the masjid with me. Let's go to the masjid together. Let me show you. Let me teach you. This is what worked for me. So many people are like that. But I don't think it's correct to say that they have high iman. Because the one who has high iman, the iman has to be based off of connection to Allah. And your connection to Allah is based off of the Quran. And the Quran tells us about what people were, what Allah made them, and what they aren't to do afterwards. Do not be harsh to the orphan, because you, O Prophet, used to be an orphan. Has Allah not enriched you? So therefore, when someone comes and begs, what are you to do? Someone says salam to you. The Quran tells us, don't say you aren't a believer. We spoke about this in Cincinnati. Don't say it to them. Because there was a time when you were a mushrik and Allah was merciful to you. Sahaba did what? They welcomed you in. So I'm guided outwardly. Allah knows best on the inside. I have the beard, I have the robe, I'm doing everything. And then you don't have a beard, you don't have a robe. You're not in the masjid as much as me. So I'm spitting on you basically. And scorning you. That's poor behavior. That's poor understanding. And I don't think that a true believer will behave in that manner. Just because a person is doing some things correctly doesn't mean he's a true solid believer. A true solid believer is someone who's humble and low and easygoing. And a true solid believer is someone who knows that Allah gave me the iman, I'll take it back. So therefore, whatever the case, whether they have a high iman or not, we have to realize people will be of different varying ranks and degrees. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, seen in the dream of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when nasu alayhim thiyab, alayhim qumus. The people were wearing qamises, shirts like those. There were some qamises that were down here. And I saw Umar radiallahu anhu and his qamis dragging on the ground. Yajurruhu. Ma'awatu ya Rasulullah, qala deen. What's his interpretation of Messenger of Allah? Short dresses versus long, short gowns versus long gowns. He said it's the deen, the religion. So everyone isn't going to have the strongest faith. Everyone isn't going to have the most knowledge. Everyone isn't the most pious. People are going to differ and vary. The Quran tells this. So you give advice, you enjoin the good, you forbid the evil, be merciful to the people. And this is one of the most basic teachings of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ was kind and merciful. And if he was the opposite, the companions would have run away from you. And after the companions have answered the call, fought with you, measured with you, what does Allah say? فَاعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَشَاوِرْهُمْ. Be even more kind to them. Seek Allah's forgiveness for them. And don't trace and follow up their slipping licks. That's the true teaching of Islam. Not to be snobby and thinking that you're better and you're this and you're that. That's a big problem that many of us suffer from. And it's even uglier if the person has some type of knowledge. And of course, they exploit this The shaitan is going to say, you shouldn't go to the mosque, you should do what you're supposed to do because look how they behave. The shaitan is going to tell you, you don't have to fulfill your Islamic obligations because this person is stuck. And we know as humans, actions speak louder than words. You can preach, but the people are going to look at your physical actions. And nobody likes a hypocrite. So it's very dangerous for the one who has the strong iman to behave incorrectly. And it's also dangerous for you to reject the truth just because the brother who brought it was a little snotty. Allahu Akbar.
Yes. Chef, just to clarify on the beautiful question that you had, should we, is it safe to try to interpret hadith or ulum, knowledge of the deen, without clarifying with the local sheikh or clarifying fiqh, or what is your opinion on that?
Right. Can we interpret by ourselves, or do we have to go to our local resident scholar on this matter or on that matter, whether it's jihad or anything else? It's a yes answer. There are things which are inherently clear, plain. And there are other things which may need a little breaking down, and you may misunderstand a thing. And there are local sheikhs and scholars who are sincere and honest, and brave and courageous. And there are other local sheikhs or full sheikhs which may not be that honest, which may not be that brave, which may not be that courageous. And they may tell someone something which is wrong, because of their own personal fears and insecurities. So what I won't do myself, if I'm too cowardly, or too scared, or I can't, or I'm not required, I'm not going to stop someone else who isn't. I'm going to salute you. This is what you want to do. As long as you're honest, you do it. And you'll be resurrected and judged based off of your intentions. It's really simple. It's not complicated. It's extremely simple. So, the question is, I read and I have the checklist. What do I do? Is it advisable for me to speak to my local sheikh? Of course. Make sure that I'm staying in that checklist correctly. Absolutely. Make sure that you're not misinterpreting or misunderstanding. Absolutely. No doubt about that. But what do we do if I have the checklist and the checklist is checked and I'm sincere and the local sheikh says, no. Then what? And that's why I said be truthful with Allah, and the law will be truthful with you. So everything may line up, but the local sheikh has an agenda or this or that, or politics or whatever. So that's not the deen of Islam. The deen of Islam is based off of what you believe to be the truth, regardless of this one and that one. The blame of the blamers. So you need to be in contact with the people of knowledge. Absolutely. Yes, you have to be in contact with those who have more knowledge and wisdom before you make any decision, let alone a life-changing decision. This is a fact. But we have to recognize that the poison and the cancer has spread across the body. It is not contained in one organ. Cancer in the ummah from the top all the way to the lay Muslim. That's more of the story. And the Quran clearly tells us about this, about leaders, scholars, rabbis, monks who mislead and hinder men from Allah's path. So just because I'm a sheikh doesn't mean that everything is right on the inside. Just because I have the fifth Fahim and Bukhari I memorized, it doesn't mean that I'm right and he's wrong. He read it, I need to go, I have to go, our brothers in Palestine need me. No, don't go, you shouldn't go, you don't have to go. They second that. Wallahu a'lam. Jazakallahu khairan. It's very important to follow. We'll move forward. Any other questions for anybody else? We're going to come back, move forward, inshallah. Fadda Noor.
Some people say that the sins that are committed during Ramadan are multiplied. Sins that are committed in Medina, for example, are also multiplied. How does that fit with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? من جاء بالحسنة فله عشر أمثالها ومن جاء بالسيئة فلا يجزى إلا مثلها.
How does the fit work? Those who say one sin is more, double, triple, in Ramadan, in Mecca, in Medina, in Dhul Hijjah, one good deed is more in Mecca, Medina, so on and so forth. But Allah says, فَلَا يُجْزَى إِلَّا, he will only be rewarded with what he did. Like, the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us that there will be men on the day of judgment whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't speak to, won't look towards, won't purify them, and they will have a painful punishment. And from them the Messenger of Allah says, Ushaymet Zanin is aged fornicator. Ushaymet, يعني هو الذي اختلط بياضه مع سوادها. He's not a guy making zina. Zina is harm for all ages. But he has a salt and pepper beard. He's gray and he's still chasing women, following his lusts. Him making zina is what? Worse than someone who has a black beard in zina. Why? Why is it worse for an older man to make zina? He's supposed to have more common sense. He's supposed to be a little more mature. He's supposed to have more experience in life to know this is someone's daughter. This is someone's sister. I have granddaughters. I have daughters now. Versus the young guy who has no knowledge of nothing. Young, dumb, and etc. As they say. He's just full of lusts. But they're both, no doubt about that. The aged fornicator is worse because of the what? The circumstance. So, all of the women that are covered up. You keep looking and lusting. Versus none of the women are covered up. It's locked up and tied up. The shayateen are tied up. Versus the circumstances be a little. That's what I would say. That's all I'll say. Is that we can agree that there are circumstances in which this is uglier and worse. Someone doing a fight in the masjid is worse than, even though it's bad both. But in the masjid, okay. It's the house of Allah. So circumstances lahab. Allah, I know what you're trying to do. I ain't falling for it, no. They trying to put me in the corner. I see where he's going. Don't worry, I got ammo though. Hey, back up. Father,
I'd like to follow up on a question. There's a hadith where it says, if you turn your way from the battlefield, you've invoked the wrath of Allah Azza wa Jal on top of you, and you will have a painful punishment. If you fall under the obligation and have the ability to go and fight and still deny and turn your head away, what can we deduce from this? And
right. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Ijtanibu sab'a al-mubiqat." Avoid the destructive sins which are seven. And from them he said, وَتَوَلِّي يَوْمَ الزَّحْفِ وَمَنْ يُوَلِّهِمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ دُبُرَهُ إِلَّا لقتال أو خفية فقد باء بغضب من الله إلى آخر الآية. So running on a battlefield is a major sin. There's no question about that. Unless you have an excuse and there's a circumstance in which you are allowed to retreat. Running from the battlefield is not the same as staying away from them, even though they're both bad. But there's a different level. I'm supposed to go out and fight, I didn't go, that's bad. That's not the same as me being on the battlefield. So that's first and foremost. But, as I said before, and I'll say again, this will be the last thing I'll say about this question, without being a first year, I have a responsibility and a duty. If you believe you are obligated to do a thing, you must follow what you believe. And at the same time, as our brother, you have to make sure that your understanding and comprehension is sound. So, a person says, there are no obligations that you have for the people of Palestine. Nothing. You're in America, they're there, it's their fault, it's their problem, blah, 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 blah. A scholar says that, you're not a scholar. Do you have to accept that? Does that sound correct to you? Even though he has all the books that he memorized and studied, you have to follow what? And at the same time, this not I read or studied, that I have to do this. Let me double check. Let me make sure that I understood it correctly. And that scholar tells you what you understood is right. This thingy, you didn't get that right. But in general, you've understood that this is the circumstance, these are the conditions, etc., etc. So that is, it's literally that simple. And my advice for any Muslim who wants to do any righteous deed is to be mindful of what you say, you talk about. Because everyone isn't going to give you sincere advice. And if you want to do something and I don't, that's going to make me look bad. So I'm going to stop you from trying to do it. Who are you to have bravery? Who are you to be courageous? Who are you to give up on the dunya while we're still eating it? So you ask him, you get your answer, you follow your sincerity in your heart. It's just that simple. Wallahu ta'ala.
Question. What's the hukm of going into Ramadan while having ongoing disputes with either family members or friends? What's the hukm of that?
Right. What is the ruling of going into Ramadan while you have open accounts with your family members? Audience, you don't speak, you don't talk, etc. What's the ruling on that? Well, first and foremost, it is unlawful for Muslims to avoid speaking to each other for more than 3 days, unless the religious reason, a reason based off of deen. This person drinks alcohol openly. I've given the advice, they keep drinking. I don't speak to him until he stops drinking alcohol. Versus me and you got into an argument over a car, or you married my sister, or we did business, we got into a fight, did that, don't talk to me. It's lawful for me not to speak to you, if you're sick, not to visit you for 3 days. We have 3 days to cool off and calm down. When the 4th day comes, it is obligatory for me to say assalamu alaikum and to make up. We have to squash the beef. Even if my chest is a little, we're humans. I still have to what? Wa alaikum assalam. I had a baby boy. This is my aqiqah. I have to come. You get sick. I have to what? Haqq al-Muslim ala al-Muslim. Everyone understand this? Allah says, وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِمْ مِنْ أي شيء. Anything that you have in your heart against your brother, you will not be and go to paradise until it is totally removed. Totally removed. And this is why Jannah is the best place. There's no envy, no jealousy. There's no hard feelings. We smile, we laugh, we joke, but I still feel a little funny about that joke that you made about me. Deep down inside. We laugh, we smile, we joke, but I still feel disrespected how you addressed me. I still feel slighted when you didn't call me back or reply to my texts. So the believers will not be in Jannah until all of that is removed. So ask yourself the question. If you died right now, today, before Ramadan, you didn't speak to your brother for a week or a month or 3 years, where are you going to go? What's going to be your situation? So you have to let go of the beef. Make up. We may not be best of buddies, but if we make a formal, I'm sorry, I love you, here's a gift, Jazakallah khairan. It's just that simple. So if you want to maximize your benefit from Ramadan, it's important to close all open accounts before the month comes. Extremely important. That way you get the most of Allah's mercy and forgiveness. And Shaitan, he wants us to be at odds with each other. He wants this, likes this. He's pleased with this. And he hates for us to really truly love each other and to be together. Just as the kuffar love that as well. Palestine. Let's get them to hate each other, to fight each other. Let's get them not to help each other out. May Allah help us all.
Question. If a prayer is missed, if I miss a prayer for a reason, such as sleeping, should I pray the prayer I have missed or the present prayer? If the present prayer has already been prayed in congregation.
Person overslept for a salah or forgot about a salah. It's time for that prayer. The congregation has already been made. What prayer do I start off with? If there's time, make the missed prayer first. But if that prayer is about to go out, no doubt you pray. I woke up late for Asr. It's Maghrib time. Maghrib is about to go out. you Maghrib first. There's no point in missing Asr and Maghrib. As far as you just missed the congregation, Maghrib just came in, there's still an hour left. Question, you make Asr first, and then you make Maghrib. Wallahu a'lam.
Fiqh, since we're in the topic of prayers, say that you're a traveler and you're going to a destination and you stop for salah and you walk in, they're praying, for example, Dhuhr, and you want to combine. So the question is, if you go in with the Jama'ah, can you break out from the two? Right after they finish the first two, can you break out and then immediately get up and then follow it up with the two? Is that
No, that's impermissible. That's incorrect. The traveler who prays by a resident must follow the resident until taslim. Period. If he's making 4, you must make 4. As far as if you came in late, only caught 2, different discussion. But if you came in from the first takbirah, you must make the prayer of the resident. إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامُ لِيُؤْمَ بِهِ. There's no question about that. What do? You do 4 for Dhuhr, and when the Imam salams out, you, someone else, without causing problems in the masjid, you make your 2 for Asr, which must pray behind the resident in the manner in which the resident Imam prays. Wallahu ta'ala.
Barakallah fiqh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Go ahead.
My question is concerning like being a middle-aged man in society. How do we come to terms with riba, and if I'm trying to buy a car, buy a home, credit? How do I balance that without displeasing the law?
Clear. Question is regarding credit and riba. How to avoid it, what if you need it, how do you establish your credit, etc. So, if I go to the Islamic, if that's a thing, or the lab, riba bank, if that's a thing, and I say I want to do a halal mortgage, mudaraba, ijara, etc. What do I do? What's one of the first things that they're going to ask me about? I'm asking you. What's the first thing they're going to ask you? What if you say, I don't need credit? Credit's haram. Credit's riba. That's why I'm here in your office. Income. But can I get it without no credit? I never had one. I'm born Muslim, raised Muslim. I worked for all of my money. Gold and silver is all I have. What would they tell you? What would they say?
You have to establish credit first.
We'll get it closer.
So therefore, that's not making too much. This is the way to get you out of the traditional credit mortgage. But to do that, you have to have already been in the system. How does that make sense? So, what do we learn from that? Is that there may be some involvement with credit which is necessary and mandatory in order for you to achieve the halal circumstance, in order for you to minimize and mitigate the blow of that heavy riba. One can clearly state that. Bad credit better than no credit. I don't deal with credit cards. I have no credit card, never have them. So, this Islamic conference, how did I come? Where am I staying? No one take this the wrong way. This is a hypothetical thing. How many houses were opened up? Sheikh, come stay with me. No, Sheikh, come stay with me. Did people fight? I'm thinking, no, come with me. No, he's staying at my house. So if I'm not staying in the house, I have to stay a tent maybe, but it's cold outside. It's rainy. Tent may be better. Get in the hotel, book in the hotel. What do you need? But do I need a 5-star hotel? Michelin star chef? So if you need a house, if you need a car, certain types of insurance, which are a need, even if it's not a necessity, but it's a need. You take what you need and you leave off what you don't need. You minimize it as much as you possibly can. Be honest with Allah will be. It's just that simple. But you never ever need credit, riba's haram, at least you can't. How realistic is that? And the sheikh that's giving that fatwa is someone who's a beneficiary of, there's no question about that. The website that you got the fatwa from, how is it paid? How does the domain get paid for a year? This is a serious question. It has to be some type of what? Okay, it's debit, no problem. The dollar and credit at the end of the day is in what institution? Same or different? Do they have a pool which is separate? These are the Muslims who have debit, we put on here. And these are the non-Muslims who have credit, and we... So one has to have a bit of reality. But one has to be with extreme caution. Extreme caution. So let's make an example of this now. Let's say there's a dangerous animal or insect that you have to get out of the cage or the tank. Venomous, poisonous, etc. You need the animal or the insect. What do? You just cover your eyes. What? What do? You what? Yep. And you handle it with caution. The moment you're done with it, the animal go. That's riba. Make sense? Wallahu a'lam.
Barakallahu feek. We have 3 questions left. Yes.
Assalamu
Does that apply for a person who misses a day of fasting? That he gets the forgiveness of Allah, or does he have to make up that fast completely?
يعني views of the ulama منهم من يقول بالتغليب وإن سافر أو مرض وإن أتى حيض ولكنه قد صام شهر غالبا عموما فإنه يدخل في قوله غفر له ما تقدم من به. ومنهم من يقول لا بل لابد من استمرار أيام وحتى في 6 من شوال. من صام رمضان ثم أتبعه 6 من شوال على قوله الذي يظهر. That seems apparent. العبرة بالغالب. Especially if you have an excuse, such as sickness or traveling. I missed 2 days because of traveling, but the other 28 days or 27 days I did fast. Inshallah will be included in that hadith. He will be forgiven of his sins. هذا الذي يظهر. والله تعالى أعلم.
Barakallahu feek. Go back to the question that was about the riba earlier. Since there's a lot of crowd in the masjid, you see, I want to follow it up with the issue and the hukum of student loans. So what's the hukum of
student loans? All right.
now?
Once I was there, and we had a lecture series or workshop at the university. It was in Ottawa. And a brother there, he happened to be a Somali brother, very nice brother, mashallah, beautiful host. Somehow we got up on the discussion of student loans and riba. And then the brother said, oh, Sheikh, no, not. He pulled me to the side, he said, Mufti, he said, listen to me. He said, every single student that you see, Pakistani, Mali, this, that, any Muslim studying in this college is under the benefit. Anyone tell you other than that is lying to you. What's the point? Does every student have the same case? Maybe not. But we are giving college, white-collar education, and occupation, we've given it too much. Hence, we've become a victim of it. You can't get married unless you have degrees. You can't become employed unless you have degrees. You aren't a success in life unless you have degrees. And you can't get this degree unless you have this amount of money. And if you don't have that amount of money, you have to deal with the student loans. This degree is no longer good enough. An associate's is useless. You have to have a bachelor's. Bachelor's degree is no longer good enough. You must have at least a master's. Community college is no longer good enough. It has to be state. We have given too much to this piece of paper we call a degree. Too much. Is a degree valuable? Is it important? In circumstances, is it needed? No question. Absolutely. But we've given it the power to eat and to give food and drink. The degree makes you successful or failure. And obviously, when you look at a thing much what it actually is, you become a victim of that thing. You become a victim of the thing. And when you want to leave and you want to go away, the thing says what? You're not going anywhere. So we've become slaves of riba because we have given too much attention and respect to riba. So why do you have to go to college to be a success? Tell me why. How many people graduate with degrees and still have no jobs? Have high degrees. I know a brother who graduated from an Ivy League school. He said, I paid whatever the amount, $75,000. He said, I paid that money just to get friends. When I graduated, I had nothing but friends. Think about that. How many more people say the same thing? So here's a trade school. You study for 6 months. You do a year apprenticeship. How much money are you going to be making? Here's a business. Here's an entrepreneurship. Here's a skill, a talent, a field. So we've put ourselves into this situation. Student loans aren't a necessity except because we've made them a necessity. We have created the nightmare. And now we go around searching for a fatwa that would take the blame and allow us to sleep at night with some conscience. It's a sad reality. It's a sad reality. So therefore, if a Muslim needs a student loan, it's a necessity. He's in a situation or circumstance, that's one thing. But to just open up the door and allow every single Muslim to take them, Lord Musta'an. When you can't get married unless you graduate from college. But when you graduate from college, you have to do what? Pay off the what? When are you going to make Hajj? Hence slavery, chain and ball. So we're careful with any type of mindset that goes past its set boundaries. College is important, college is a benefit, but college is not what? Everything. And we have to get rid of that mentality that is everything. Monkey see, monkey do. We have to get rid of that mentality. Wallahu a'lam.
Barakallahu feek wa ahsanallahu ilayk. Jazakumullah khair. That is the conclusion of tonight's lecture. Inshallah ta'ala, shakarallahu lakum. We ask Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala to make us subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us those who welcome Ramadan with open arms and